Hey guys, it's Stoof from Travel SzN. So our daughter Sierra is now about 10 months old, and a week ago we took our first flight with her from Pittsburgh to Orlando, Florida. It was about a 2-hour flight, and in this video I'm going to talk about how her first flight experience was, and I'm going to give some tips for other moms that might be traveling with babies for the first time, because it was a new experience for me and I learned some things that I'm going to share with you in this video. Alright, it's Cece's first airplane ride today.
Yeah, you're being so good in the car. I hope you're just good for mama on the plane. Yeah.
We're doing Spirit Airlines, and I was super cheap and did not schedule a carry-on, and I tried to fit it all in her diaper bag. And we're gonna gate check the car seat and stroller, and I saw you can stuff some things into the gate checked car seat, so we'll see how well this actually works. Wish me luck. What do you think? Jam-packed car seat. We're gonna put that in the bag.
I would buckle this if you can.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's really something there.
That's great.
Yeah. Bye, Cece.
Alright, so I already checked in on the Spirit app the evening before our flight, so I didn't need to go to that check-in counter. I went straight to the TSA lines for security, and at the security checkpoint where the guard looks at your information, they did not need her passport. We had a passport for Sierra, but they didn't ask for that. It also said online that we need to bring a birth certificate, and they didn't even ask for that. They just wanted to see her name on the boarding pass. So once they checked that, we just continued going through the TSA line.
All right, we made it through the first TSA check. We had to tear down the stroller, put it in the machine. They took the car seat through separately and checked that, inspected that. I had to take everything out that was packed into the car seat, and I had to take her out, obviously. And other than that, it was pretty smooth, and they were very helpful.
You take the baby out of the stroller and you fold down the stroller, send that through the machine, and then you go through one of those scanners just carrying your baby. But I wasn't sure what to expect there with TSA, so we did have to take everything out of that stroller and everything out of the car seat bag and then put it all back together before heading to our gate. And you guys might be wondering about breast milk and formula. It looks like you can take breast milk and formula through TSA if it's more than 3.4 ounces. Sierra is now on formula, and I just brought through the powdered formula through TSA in a bottle, and then after I made it to the gate is when I started to add the water to make the formula into drinkable form. But it does look like you are allowed to bring in formula, breast milk, toddler drinks, or those little fruit squeezes, those pureed fruit pouches in quantities greater than 3.4 ounces. You're also allowed to bring in ice and cooling packs to help keep those things cool for your babies. Once we made it over to the gate, I met up with my sister, who was also traveling with us to Florida. It was nice that she was there to help carry her, as I had to go up to the gate agents and I had to get gate check tags for the stroller and the car seat bag. If you're traveling with an infant and you plan on checking a car seat or a stroller at the gate, you have to go to that gate agent and get the little tags that they'll put on your items. We chose a randomly assigned seat, and it was a full flight. So unfortunately, our seat was 29E, which is in the way back of the plane in a middle seat. Thank the Lord, I was placed in between two very nice ladies who were totally understanding. They were even entertaining Sierra a couple times, playing peekaboo and making silly faces. Before traveling, I read some tips about traveling with babies on a plane, and I read that you should give them something to munch on or give them some milk as they're taking off and ascending, and also when you're descending, because that helps them to pop their ears to make them a little bit less irritable. And now I'm sure you're wondering how she was for the flight, and I was very pleasantly surprised with how well she handled this first flight. She squirmed around for a bit, and she really should have gone to sleep right after she had her bottle, but I think there was so much new stuff happening around her that she was just so excited and did not want to go to sleep. She wanted to look at the people around us, she wanted to look at the lights, she wanted to look out the window, she wanted to play with the stuff in front of me, like the folding table. So she did not cry at all, she just stayed awake, and overall it was a pretty smooth flight. I think the flight could have gone a lot differently if the people sitting next to us were not fans of babies.
So we're now an hour and a half past your bedtime, but you didn't cry. You got snacks when we were going up and we were coming down, and the ladies next to us were really nice, and they were going and saying silly things to you, and I think you had a fun time.
Once we touched down in Orlando, we were some of the last people to get off the plane because we were in the way back. The flight attendants were so nice and kind the whole flight. At one point during the flight, she did have to get a diaper change, so we did that in the bathroom, and there was a changing table. We got our rental vehicle, got the car seat all set up in the rental vehicle, and then within 5 minutes of driving away from the airport, she fell asleep and she slept pretty good all night. So we were thankful for that. The trip overall was a great time. She enjoyed the beach. She really loves playing in the sand and looking at all of the birds on the beach. We were only at the beach for 3 days, and then we flew back home to Pittsburgh. We took a flight home on Allegiant Airlines. Again, I got really lucky with the random assigned seats, and I was in between two women who were, again, pretty kind and very helpful, and definitely people that like babies. Sierra was a little bit more of a squirmy worm on the way back. This was another evening flight that departed around 6:30 p.m., and she was getting ready for bed. She was tired, she drank her milk, but then she just kept squirming around, and I could tell she wanted to go to sleep, but she couldn't get comfortable. Finally, after about an hour of her doing that, she fell asleep, and then she slept the whole second half of the flight. Here are a few more tips for you guys that I learned from my travels with a baby for the first time on a plane. I read to wear one of those wraps that can hold your baby. I did that on the flight down, and all it really did was make me more hot and uncomfortable. I think for smaller babies, or if you're just one of those people that really like wearing those wraps, then go for it. It might be helpful for you. And now with her being about 20 pounds and 10 months old, I don't think there was much of a use for it other than maybe straining her a bit more so she can't squirm quite as much. I also recommend packing the things that you know you might need on the flight closer to the zipper or like the easier part of your diaper bag to reach. For example, binkies, snacks, and like a book or something little for her to look at. On the first flight down, I had books and snacks stuffed closer to the sides and bottoms of the bag, and it took me a while, like while holding her and trying to lean over and get that stuff out of the bag, it was a little bit tricky to do. So I definitely recommend keeping the things you might need close to the top of the bag so they're easy to grab while you're on that flight. I also recommend getting a seat with extra legroom if you're on one of these budget airlines that are a little bit more squished. When you're holding a 10-month-old and you hold her in your arms, her head is in the seat next to you and her feet are in the seat next to you. So if you can angle her in a way that she's like parallel to your body and you have more legroom for her to reach out so she's not kicking the seat in front of you, that's probably gonna make things easier for everyone. I also recommend getting a carry-on. If you're using a budget airline, you are going to have to pay extra for that carry-on bag, but that would have made my life so much easier because when you're traveling with a baby, you have a lot of stuff. Alright, so that is what I learned from traveling on a plane with Sierra, my 10-month-old, for the first time. We have more travel coming up in the next few months, so I'm going to save this information that I learned and apply it to my future trips. If you are traveling with an infant for the first time, good luck. I hope things work out well for you, and I hope you guys have safe and fun travel experience. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Have a great day, and happy travels.